The Eel River watershed is outside of this area, but it still concerns me. You know, I guess we're not going to see this letter. You're going to go ahead and write the letter, so this board's not going to see it. I'd like to at least see some wording in the letter says that, you know, the way it stands right now, this policy, we don't like it. It's not financially feasible for landowners. It's not going to, for instance, to make to where you have to bypass a reservoir. That's going to cause more new erosion than anything that's existing out there. Think about that, digging a ditch around up above a stock pond or something to create to where the water doesn't come into it. I mean, that's going to create a whole new source of erosion. It's not even maybe these consultants that were from Idaho where they get 4 or 5 inches of water a year and it's on flat ground, it's workable, but not when you have elevation from 4,000 feet to 800 feet in a 3-mile stretch. It's not workable, it's not doable. It's going to cause more erosion. So we need to start out with some language that says, as it stands, this is not workable, it's not doable, and then, oh, by the way, we want you to come to this county and talk more about it. But just to simply say, yeah, we understand you, will come and tell us more about it, I think it's our wrong approach. Because I haven't talked to anybody, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, but I haven't talked to anybody that feels that this is even really doable, or it's a good thing for the land. Forget about the financial aspects of it. It's like I say, to get a consulting firm out of Idaho where they have 3 or 4 inches of rain to draw up something like this for Mendocino County is totally ridiculous.
Thank you, Supervisor. I can always count on water raising your passions. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did state earlier that Mendocino County would be referenced in the letter as a site to have one of these meetings, and the Russian River Watershed Coalition was looking for letters of this type from various entities to lend support to this concept that the department needs to invest resources, staff, and time to actually come and hold these meetings in various locales. So yes, absolutely, Mendocino County would be referenced as a request to have a meeting.
Okay, Supervisor Delmer.
Mr. Chairman, is there a motion on the floor?
To the clerk, not yet.
Because I would strongly support the sentiments of Supervisor Pinch's. The message needs to be very clear from it, right off the bat at this point, that this is ridiculous. And we have our, Johnny mentioned, I mean, can't compete with that. But those sentiments need to be related in that message.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, what's the action before the board?
Well, I'd like to make the recommended motion, which is to instruct the general manager of the water agency to construct the letter requesting the additional public input, including a meeting in Mendocino County. And I think we need to leave it up to him in terms of the language. I mean, we can talk about that we have reservations or concerns about the current thing, but as you said, our date to weigh in on that, I mean, we really need to look at that and weigh in by May 1st. So I think we're still going to have the opportunity to do that. But I think this letter needs to convey that we want to have the public meetings to get the public engaged, because I think that's really what we're going to need to have happen. And that's what landowners were very concerned at the Russian River Watershed Coalition meeting that wasn't happening. So I think you can figure out what that letter would look like.
And I think we can easily weave in both sentiments there, because State Board, why should you, from your perspective, have these workshops? Well, at first blush, what people are seeing is not very appealing. And if you think this is such a great thing, then by all means, you better come over here and explain it to us. So I think we can weave both sentiments into the letter pretty easily.
Okay, and that was a motion?
That was a motion, yes.
Supervisor Delbar.
Well, I'll second it, but I don't want the sugar-coated language.
Okay.
I mean, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something a little stronger than that. Because the message has to be sent that this is simply not, this process has not been acceptable, and sure as hell the language in 2121 is not acceptable. We need to have those hearings here so that the input from the locals can be heard and they understand just how bad this thing is. I mean, that's the language I want to see in this thing. Yes, we'll have an opportunity to comment more specifically if, no later than, or no sooner than May 1st, but we need to be very clear up front.
Okay, there is a second question I have. Does the board want to see this letter before we officially place a stamp on it and send it?
No.
You're authorizing me to, okay, all right.
If I was sending a letter, it would be a 2-letter sentence.
I think I can guess at that point. Supervisor Smith?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, we do have a motion and a second before us to take the intent that has been stated by several of my colleagues, put it into a letter and send it to State Water Resources Control Board. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, passed on a 5-0 unanimous vote. And at this point, let's take a lunch break. And are we going to attempt to take pictures or not? Nope? Okay.
This is a bad picture day.
Some other time.
Ability to do that.
Boy, that's a real difficult one.
Every week, clean.